my water here. Good morning. Thanks for giving me your attention here for about 40 minutes or so. I'm really excited to be here and get an opportunity to talk about what we're doing at General Motors. As you heard, my name is Steve Schwinke. I'm the Director of Advanced Development and Concepts, and I have a very cool job. I actually run a lab that I'm going to talk about here towards the end, where we actually get to pioneer some of these really cool and innovative services. A lot of good stuff started in the lab. We got a lot more stuff coming, and I'll get towards that to the end. Today I'm going to share with you the current state of the connected vehicle at GM, a bit about where we see the space going in the future. And while I manage teams delivering innovation on a global scale, I'm really proud of the work that we do right here in southeastern Michigan. In fact, it's in the basement of the Renaissance Center about a mile away from here, where I lead a team of engineers, developers, a few scientists, and it's a team that consists of people that know the vehicle, people that write software for the client, people that write back-end services, and actually my own platforms to actually pilot some of these services. And so it gives me a lot of opportunity to innovate and kind of test the boundaries of harnessing the power of the connected vehicle. So vehicle connectivity is a really simple headline. If you get it right, you're not only going to appreciate what the customers are going to really value what's going on here, but you're going to create a lot of friends at GM or other OEMs. And these friends are people from manufacturing, powertrain, warranty, service parts, dealers, engineering, people that are really trying to plan the next generation of products, because you not only can tell them how people are using their cars from this 4G connection to the vehicle, but also how these vehicles are performing. And so not only are we creating value for our customers, we're creating value for GM to build better products, because we really have a better appreciation of the products once they're sold to the customers. But to take advantage of the 4G connection, it's not easy. I've been doing this for 18 years, and I can tell you it is absolutely not easy. And on Sunday, as I normally like to do, I was flipping through the stations between the football games, and I was watching The American President, one of my favorite movies, and Michael Douglas is giving his speech towards the end, and he says, "Folks, America isn't easy. You got to want it." And I thought, man, that is exactly like the connected vehicle. It is not easy, but then you got to want it to do it. You have to build the flexibility in. You can't just treat it like a headline. And that's, a lot of times you see that. It's a headline, oh, we're going to do the connected vehicle. You really got to do not only the connectivity piece, but you got to build the flexibility in the platforms. And it starts with not only just General Motors, but it's our tier one suppliers. It's the people that are building the components that go in the GM products. You have to really understand what connectivity means and how to take advantage of it. And you have to actually build it all the way through the ecosystem. So really, that's kind of how we're viewing this opportunity. If you get it right, you're going to do really well. So let me talk a little bit about how we got to where we are today, being in business for 19 years. So OnStar uses cellular and GPS technology to link the vehicle and driver to the OnStar call center. And each call is seamlessly transferred to one of our data centers. And then it actually gets to a public safety and answering point. And then from there, the first responders show up. Seems pretty simple, right? Well, it's not all that simple. We started this journey with analog technology, using Bell 103 modems to communicate over that analog voice channel. Then when digital came around, we noticed that the Bell 103 modems were getting squashed by the vocoders. So we actually had to invent a way to transmit data that didn't look like noise. So it got through to our call centers so we could actually process the data and then handle the voice interaction as well. When we went to 4G technology, it was a whole different game. We had to reinvent the call flows one more time. There's not a slide up here on the call flows, but I could show it to you at some point. There's a lot of interaction that takes place in order to match up the voice and the data to deliver some of the core features that OnStar is all about. But in addition to that, now we have this 4G connection for just data-only services. So it was not an easy transition to go to 4G. Excuse me. So let's talk about We started in 1996, and it's been growing every year over year for 19 years. We launched in the US, quickly migrated over to Canada, and then in 2010, we launched OnStar services in China. China's an interesting market. They love to hit that OnStar blue button like 3 times more often than our customers here in the US. They couldn't get enough of the service. We launched in Mexico in 2013, and recently we launched in Europe and in Brazil. And really what we're finding out is that safety, security, peace of mind, and connectivity resonates everywhere in the globe. And we're very aspirational to fill the needs of our customers wherever GM sells vehicles. I'm not making an announcement here, got to watch myself, but we are aspirational to continue to expand in this area because that's one area that's true. There's local differences, there's a lot of needs that local markets have, and we're trying to fulfill on those promises, but that safety, security, peace of mind, connectivity, it resonates everywhere, and it's not really hard to sell to our customers. So we believe we have a head start on our competition because of the 2 decades of work that we've already done. In fact, I think it was just, was it last year, or just this year even, we actually exceeded 1 billion interactions with our customers. 1 billion times that some customers have hit that blue button or emergency button seeking help. Today, on a monthly basis, we're responding to 5,000 automatic crash events. This is where the customer can't call, but we make that call for them. We also support almost 4 million turn-by-turn navigation requests every month. And then the mobile app, which I'm going to talk about here a little bit more, close to 9 million times every month. People are using that remote link app on their phone to either start their car, check their fuel level, look at their maintenance information. We're finding that service just continues to grow at a rapid rate. So that's a little bit of a background. Now let me tell you about the current state of the connected vehicle at GM. So we started this journey over 2 years ago to transition the OnStar brand really to kind of a vertical service. It's a product with multi-purpose, multi-application platform that's going to be capable of much, much more over time. So we went very vertical in terms of like these very single-purpose services to this kind of flat platform where we actually can do a lot more with what we have and create more customized services. And really to start this, it was started with the launch of OnStar 4G LTE and this big important brand transition that we had. And then we can actually create more daily relevance for our customers. And that's why we're so excited about kind of flattening out this platform and creating more and more value-added services. And it really leads us on this road to more personalization for delivering services to our customers. So, all right, 4G. We made a big investment here in 2014, 30 nameplates. The biggest deployment ever. It wasn't easy. I remember the discussions that we had. Dan Ackerson at the time heard about the timing that we had actually committed to, and he said, not good enough. Not good enough at all. So we actually pulled ahead our 4G launch by over 2 years, which is kind of unheard of in the automobile industry. And we launched it across 30 nameplates in the US. It wasn't easy. Took a commitment by the entire General Motors organization, engineering, IT, the OnStar people, the call centers, in order to get this right. But once we were committed, we got it right, we got it done, and now we're reaping the benefits of having this portfolio of vehicles out there with 4G connectivity. In fact, excuse me, we actually in 3 days in June outsold our competition for an entire year. So 3 days of selling GM vehicles with 4G connectivity outsold the competition by what they would sell an entire year. So we are doing well. We're out there leading the charge in terms of 4G and what we can do with it. So what are the benefits? Well, the obvious benefits to our customers is that there's a built-in Wi-Fi hotspot. And it also has an antenna on the roof, so we actually have superior connectivity than what you normally would get from your cell phone inside the vehicle. You got that awesome ground plane, and you have the connectivity, the MIMO's antennas, and so we're doing very well. Our customers love it. It's more powerful connection than what you have really with that smartphone or mobile hotspot. Low latency and high bandwidth. The high bandwidth is pretty obvious, but I'm not so sure if everyone understands what low latency really means for us. And I'm not so sure I know either, but I think it's around 80 milliseconds or so. And you start thinking about V2V technology and what's coming in that space. And I know GM's investing here, but this is an area where I want to really understand if we can do more with this low latency. Can we do more things like ADAS and some active safety systems using 4G connectivity versus the V2V space? So I'll just challenge you to think about that. I know I've been having some dialogues here, but really taking advantage of that low latency can be really a game changer in certain services or offerings that we might have. It also affords us faster connectivity to our vehicles, so Remote Link is greatly speeded up in terms of how quickly we can interact with the vehicle, how quickly you can perform a door unlock. So there's a lot of obvious benefits that we got from 4G LTE. So very strong customer response. Today, over 1.5 million vehicles are on the road with the 4G LTE. Our customers are accepting the terms and conditions. And it's interesting that 91% of our customers actually know about this built-in Wi-Fi hotspot either before they actually go to the dealership or the dealership actually telling them about the 4G connectivity in the vehicle. So we're finding a lot of people that already understand what they're getting before they purchase the vehicle. So that's an easy proposition for us to deal with. And then we're also finding out that our customers still love this service. They keep renewing purchase. In fact, our data plans start at as low as $5 per month for 200 megabytes. So we are selling data to our customers. They're enjoying the Wi-Fi in the car. And I can tell you, my kids absolutely love it. I don't hear a peep from them when we drive to Florida. They got their iPads out, and they're watching movies, and it's smooth sailing from here to Orlando. We've done that a few times already. So, in fact, it's almost as fun as flying. So, all right. So, Remote Link. This actually started in the lab. It was a cool time for me down in the lab. The Volt was coming out, the EREV vehicle, extended range electric vehicle. And we thought, we have to differentiate that vehicle ownership somehow. Right? It was an all-new way of kind of combining electric power and a generator in the car with gasoline to build a vehicle that takes the range anxiety away from all the electric vehicles. But customers had to understand it, and so we actually created the Remote Link app. And the Remote Link app allowed our customers to get notifications when the charging was complete. They could see their energy level that they have in the vehicle, how many miles they're going to get on battery versus how many miles they're going to get on their generator from the vehicle gasoline, as well as being able to set like departure times so that they could actually charge efficiently. And I remember sitting in the lab, and we were doing a press event, and all the big wigs were taking credit for all the work that I did as usual. But no, I shouldn't say that. And I was discussing with my lead developer, and we said, we can just do this for all GM vehicles. I mean, what's the difficulty here? Let's just roll it out. And so we actually started whiteboarding a solution. And within a month, I had prototypes running around, and we actually launched simultaneously with both the Volt Remote Link app at the time the Volt launched, as well as the 2011 model year fleet. And that's kind of a testament to what I keep harping on, is do you put the right enablers in the vehicles so that you can actually develop these services. And because we don't know what we're going to do, because normal automotive development, you start thinking about things like 3 years in advance, and you got to nail down the feature, and you got to hit all your milestones. If you get the right enablers in place, you can do things where you're launching services and products even after the vehicle is sold. And that's really what energizes me and my team, is let's put the right enablers in, and then let's see where the market goes, and then can we actually meet that market demand. So customers want it all, right? So we're investing heavily in embedded technologies like OnStar, but customers may want to use their smartphone, and that's why we're pursuing technologies like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And for 2000 model year 16, we're going to offer both CarPlay and Android across 30 GM nameplates. So, that's a big investment. We're going to make sure we're out there in front of it and make sure our customers have the opportunity to use both of those services. It enables smarter and simpler integration, and there's benefits like the navigation that's going to come from Google or Apple Maps, hands-free texting, integrated contacts, calendars, and then some of your favorite media apps. So they do want it all. We're investing heavily there, as well as our OnStar connectivity. One thing it can't do, though, is track a vehicle when it's been stolen. So as our former president used to say, what are you going to do, throw your phone in the back of a car as it's driving away being stolen? So you need that embedded connectivity to do a lot of the other things that are going on, but this piece actually satisfies the need for our customers as well. So where are we investing today? I'm going to talk about some of the services that are either here that we're just launching or about to launch, and taking advantage of that 4G connectivity in the vehicle. So this remote APIs, it's a big deal for us. You think about the aftermarket, and there's a lot of aftermarket devices out there to do different things, right? Insurance companies have them that plug into the OBD2 port. Fleet companies plug in, even car sharing companies plug into that OBD2 port. I don't particularly like it when they do that, because that's really not what that port is designed to do. So we thought, why don't we just take advantage of the fact that we have this 4G connectivity in the vehicle? I have a very flexible OnStar VCP platform that allows us to extract information, kind of any piece of information at any route, at any frequency that I want to take it, and actually take it, extract out of the vehicle, and publish it to the cloud, and create a rich set of APIs. So we have customers like Telogis, a fleet management company, that we have a set of APIs that they can consume, and they can actually present the information to their customers about how their fleets are performing and where they're driving. I mean, every trip is basically logged, and it eliminates that embedded connectivity that they would have to install as an aftermarket device. Urban Active is a really big area as well. We're starting to do some pilot work in New York City and other places where transformation of vehicle ownership is a big deal in terms of how people are going to own cars, car sharing. You name it, they're all out there today. And so we're heavily investing in that area in terms of the people and what the services are going to be. And I think OnStar and the 4G connection is going to be a big part of it and a big differentiator for GM to make sure that we have the right urban active solutions going forward. At Your Service, it's rolling out to our customers now. It's a way to use our connection to bring customers and their favorite retailers together. You can call an OnStar advisor today and book a hotel through Priceline.com, or you can get coupons from retailers like Dunkin' Donuts, Speedway gas stations, and then we can actually provide you directions to those places. And soon we're going to be able to add the ability to search those places, as well as the special offers through our remote link app. So we think that we're going to create a lot of value for our customers by offering them this service, and they can do it through the button press or through their remote link app or through the web. So it's going to be pretty cool. OnStar Smart Driver. I hope everyone wants this. We're going to provide our customers some really valuable insight as to how they're driving. A customer can opt in, and we're going to collect data in real time about their driving event and how they're performed on that particular drive. And then they can log into OnStar.com to get a detailed assessment and get a score of how good of a driver they are. And then if they want to, and I got to keep saying if they want to, they can share that information. So they can compare themselves kind of anonymously to other drivers that are out there, but they can also share that score and that information with insurance companies and especially if you're a great driver, you're probably going to get some type of discount in terms of your driving, because you're such a safe driver and you don't do as many hard brakes, et cetera. You're going to be able to get a discount on your insurance from your provider. So we think this is really interesting space. I think we're going to continue to evolve it and look forward to launching it here shortly. Advanced Diagnostics. So this started in the lab as well. We're working with GM R&D. And this is really, they call it Advanced Diagnostics. It's prognostics. It's actually trying to predict a failure before a failure actually occurs. So what we do is every time you start your car, we let the car settle in, and then we start collecting data for about 2.5 minutes or so, maybe 3 minutes into the drive. And then we upload that data to our servers. Then we do that every time you drive. We're going to keep uploading this information to the server. Then we create a base profile of how your vehicle is performing. And then we're going to look for, on every ignition cycle after so many days, we're going to start looking for anomalies in the data, not only from what the data is telling us, but comparatively to what we have on the performance of the vehicle. And from there, the scientists and researchers at GM R&D have come up with some really sophisticated algorithms to predict that you could have a problem going forward in the future. So we've been doing data collection out of the lab and working with R&D. We've moved it now more into mainstream with GMIT to host this service, and it look for a launch here in 2016 on some of select vehicles as we get in this area. It's very similar to what the airline industry does, and now we're going to do it for people that own GM products. So we're really excited about what this can do and really kind of change the way we understand vehicle performance going forward in the future. So everyone likes to talk about autonomous. Everyone can't wait for the autonomous vehicle. Well, most people, I think Corvette owners probably not so much, but we actually I wait to say that the road to autonomous starts with semi-autonomous, and GM has a lot of active safety systems: forward collision alert, crash imminent braking, lane departure warning. All these things are building blocks as we move towards that autonomous. But what 4G LTE does for us is it gives us insights as to how these systems are performing. And this is what is a true differentiator, I think, going forward. We recently completed a study with the Active Safety Group, and we've had about 19 million miles that were logged by customers in terms of that opted into the program, and we just use that 4G connectivity to see how these systems performed and how the customers reacted to these systems. So over 100,000 events were recorded, and these are events where it's snapshot data. So if an event occurs, we have data right before the event and right after the event. So in terms of a forward collision alert, we see what's going on. We also see what the reaction was by the customer. So some customers opt to turn the service off, and we see how much faster our customers respond to these kind of collision warnings compared to people that have the system turned on. We actually see differences between an audible type of alert versus a visual alert versus the haptic when your seat vibrates. And I can tell you that there are some strong differences in terms of how people react to these types of warning systems based on the alert type that's given. It's over, in some cases, 120, 130 milliseconds, which is a big deal at high speed. So the teams that we did this for, we worked with the University of Michigan Transportation Research Institute, and NHTSA actually was part of this as well. We're very excited about the data. We did it with the lane departure warning and the forward collision alert, and now we're actually studying crash imminent braking. That's where we actually apply the brakes on behalf of our customer, as well as lane keep assist. So if you start drifting out of your lane, the steering wheel kind of pulls you back. So again, all of this is really interesting because we can actually improve our systems based on real-world driving conditions, and we only get that because we have this embedded connectivity that's flexible to pull the information out of the vehicle. So connectivity is not only important, it's essential to the future of the auto industry. In the past, OnStar has given customers help when they need it the most. It also is helping them save time and money, but in the future, it helped transform how we interact with our vehicles by serving as a key enabler for things like smarter car sharing, more advanced active safety, and even autonomous driving. And we're predicting that by 2020, 75% of the GM volume will be connected. We actually see, with the launch of Europe, we're going to continue to expand in that area. China, we're going to add 4G LTE this year, and it really does create this innovative platform. So now I get to talk a little bit about behind the scenes, and I'm doing pretty good on time, so that's good. This is a peek at my OnStar lab. So we're right here in the basement of the RenCen in southeastern Michigan. We love to have people come by and take a look what's going on sometimes, not all the time, but we have vehicles, we have benches, we have servers, we got everything we need to do to kind of create these platforms, test them out, and actually run them all the way through beta. And kind of get the experience right, which is really important as we develop these services. Things like Remote Link that I mentioned before started in the OnStar lab. OnStar Vehicle Diagnostic Email started down in the lab. That was interesting. We worked on a thing called Vehicle Data Upload, and we didn't know what we were going to do about it. We just thought we should just pull information out of the vehicle. And so one of our smart engineers, and I like to say engineers and developers have some of the best ideas and some of the absolute worst ideas. But you got to listen to both. You got to tolerate the real bad ones, but you got to listen to the good ones. And in this case, one of our engineers said, I'm going to have Chet's car email him how it's doing, how it's performing. And so check out this email, and holy cow, this is awesome. In text form, it looks really bad, but we could actually turn it into something very useful for our customers. And within a few months, we actually launched a thing called OnStar Vehicle Diagnostic Email. So every month, your vehicle is telling you how it's performing. So that's what we did in the lab. We started vehicle slowdown. So that's a service we haven't talked about in a while, but we can take the chase out of high-speed chases through this connectivity with the right level of engagement from law enforcement. That started down in the lab. We did in-vehicle voice messaging. In fact, it's pretty cool to have my job. My car talks to me a lot when I do things I shouldn't be doing. I'm not so sure all those things are ready for prime time yet, but we have all this capability and flexibility, and I let my engineers constantly exercise it and try stuff out. We did Virtual Advisor down in the lab, and we did the prognostics that I talked about before. And so the lab is also used to do a large amount of data collection. So if I told you, I mentioned before, we had 1 billion interactions with our customers, and boy, we were proud of that. And I didn't have the heart to tell anybody. I said, just yesterday, we collected over 1.6 billion pieces of information from GM vehicles because of this data connectivity. So the fact that it took us 19 years to get where we're at, and in one single day, with this 4G connectivity, we have all this data coming out of GM vehicles that we're trying to analyze now and trying to turn into value-added services, and that's some of the stuff that I'm doing out in the lab, is really just quite mind-blowing in terms of what you can do with it. So I can tell you today that 78% of the cars in the United States will be driven at least once. I can tell you how often a heavy-duty truck is going to be started compared to a Corvette. I can tell you the differences between Canadian drivers and U.S. drivers, and get very local if I want to. There's a rich amount of information here, and we're just really tapping the surface in terms of what we can do with it, and that's what really gets me excited. So, it's not really big data even yet either. So we're kind of just doing some reporting. We're trying to get towards the big data aspects of this as well. But being able to understand our customers better, being able to predict their behaviors, being able to create value from these predictions, this is all the stuff that we're incubating right now down in the lab, and I'm really excited about it. I actually talked about enablers too, which is a big thing for me. One of the things that we did this summer, I had some interns. I love my interns. But interns are great if you give them tools and then you let them go. We taught them how to interact with the car. We gave them a platform. And by the end of the summer, one of my interns had connected to my Nest device. So he, it's kind of that intersection of the Internet of Things that I thought was really cool. I'm driving home, and it sends a signal when I'm about 1.5 miles from my house to my Nest device, and tells it that I'm about to arrive. He also built in algorithms that if I deviate and I decide to go to McDonald's or something like that, it'll actually send a command and cancel it. So he got into some predictive type of behaviors with this in this area, connected to Nest device, all through the embedded connectivity that we had already in the car. So we were pretty impressed with that. Another intern played with lights, controlling the lights in my home. So all this stuff is really cool. It's there. We just got to keep tapping into it and create these value-added services. The lab also provides over-the-air updates. So not only pulling information out of the car, we're able to correct issues or add new services through this over-the-air connectivity. And so the lab is instrumental in that. We don't talk about it as much as other OEMs. We just kind of do it. So we're working very hard to continue to minimize the impact to customers if we have to enhance their services, not going back to the dealership, but can we deliver this while they're sleeping at night? If there's issues or adding new things, we're doing that through this connectivity. It's fast, it's good, and we can do a lot of vehicles very quickly. We also have centers of innovation. So not everything's being done right here in southeastern Michigan. I'm connected with our teams in Palo Alto, teams in Germany, China, and Israel. We're all working very collaboratively together, trying to make sure we're taking advantage of these connectivity points, these enablers, and create more and more value-added services. And again, trying to tap into this innovative spirit that we have with our developers and see what new things they come up with. Because ultimately what we're trying to do is create a very personalized experience for our customers. Think about an iPhone. That's my favorite analogy, right? Everyone gets the same iPhone. They open it up. It does texting. It does voice. It searches internet. But then you start going to town. You start adding all your apps, and then now it's your phone. Not everyone's iPhone is going to be a little bit different in terms of how they've customized it. And I like to think of the vehicle as the same way. It provides the transportation. You have the OnStar for safety, security, peace of mind, and some navigation services and things like that. But then we create more and more personalized experiences for our customers, and I think that's really what we're trying to evolve to by having these flexible platforms in the vehicle, giving customers choice, and then they can make the vehicle what they want it to be. I like to think about it as almost reinventing that spirit of, in the 50s and 60s when people worked on their cars and they tinkered with them. Not doing that so much. I mean, if you look under a hood, they're kind of hard to tinker with these days, but you can tinker with the electronics and create that whole kind of dimension around it. Becomes your vehicle and it's your baby, and you get what you want in the car. So I think that's really where we're moving and what we're trying to get to in terms of that type of experience for our customers. So again, it starts with flexible architectures. If we can understand our customers, we can service them, and we can surprise and delight them. Connectivity needs to be secure. That's a big thing today. I mean, I get that question a lot. And security to me is about the whole ecosystem, right? You got to make sure your partners like AT&T and Jasper have the same level of security that you have that goes on inside the vehicle. So it's the whole ecosystem that has to be protected, and we recently, in 2014, we put a global product executive director in charge of product security. So GM's investing very heavily in this space. We take it very seriously. Not only do you do it once, you constantly do it. You monitor what's going on around your vehicles, and you live and breathe it every minute of every day to make sure you have the most secure vehicle solution that technology allows today. And just the final thing too, you have to remember that a car is still a car. It needs to be safe when someone's driving it, right? So we take that part very serious as well in terms of making sure that we are following the guidelines that the other OEMs have all agreed to in terms of how you create, minimize distraction for the driver. You still want to create value-added services for the other people in the car, but you got to make sure that when you build something, it's easy to use, it minimizes their distraction, and you know, because I drive on the same roads that everyone else drives on in here, and I want to make sure no one's putting something dangerous in the car that's going to distract them from what the primary purpose is, and that's to actually drive a car. So I think that's it. So there's my LinkedIn contact. I will be back here afterwards. Actually did okay on time, so do you want me to answer any question? I got 4 minutes, or you want me to just step? All right, I can take 1 or 2 questions. Yep.
Recently, there was a discussion going on in a number of the radio programs. The topic was the proliferation of agreements, right? User agreements that you sign up for. You mentioned a large population of people accepting these agreements, but do you have any data to show whether they understand the agreements at all?
So I think first off, I don't want to go too far on that because I'm an engineer and I like to hide behind the fact that I'm an engineer. I also like to not hide, but it's great to work for General Motors because it is a $170 billion company with lots of people that are very good at what they do. We take privacy very seriously. We work very closely with the legal staff in terms of making sure what we do is correct. So for me to answer that question, I'd probably need other people to specifically answer it. But I can tell you that when we collect data out of the vehicle, everything that we do goes through our chief privacy officer before we do it. And everything that we do when we launch a new product or services, we run it by the proper legal people, the right privacy people. And what you find in terms of our global expansion, and I say it's not easy, it's never easy. Like going to Canada wasn't easy, and it should have been easy because there's local differences wherever you go. And so you need to make sure you put the right diligence in place to make sure you're not violating any privacy laws that might exist in those countries. So we take that commitment very seriously, and everything that we do is run through the appropriate channels, just like we do when safe driving, right? We have professionals in Milford that evaluate everything that goes in the car. Thank goodness I have that team to do it, and sometimes, you don't always like the answer, but it's the answer, and it's the answer you get from the professionals. So, nothing else? Okay. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.